I'm excited for the opportunity to really be able to share with our Danbury community where we're going. It's important to know how everything pieces together. And I think that this is probably the best avenue to do that. At Danbury, our mission continues to be a drive for personal excellence with a lifelong learning and a distinct set of core values that positively impact our family and community. This year, we also added a vision statement. Our vision statement is a focus on learning within a collaborative culture that's results-driven. We were very intentional about how we created that vision statement. We wanted it to be in sync with what our strategic plan was. There's basically 3 levels of our strategic plan. There's goals centered around a focus of learning, there's goals centered around collaborative culture, and there's goals centered around being results-driven. And so every year as we evaluate the strategic plan and we talk about the benchmarks that we've reached, and as we set new ones, we're always connecting back to that focus on learning within a collaborative culture that's results-driven. So that strategic plan for us continues to guide and direct us in where we're going with our students and their education. What's been really important for me as the leader of the district is to really work with our administrative team and our staff, really envisioning where we want to be in 5 years. What is it that we want to accomplish or provide for our staff or our students? And once we've identified those and we've really keyed in on those, then how do we work backwards and talk about, okay, in order to hit where we want to be at year 5, what do we need to accomplish by the end of year 4, by the end of year 2, by the end of year 1? And then what we do is when we've identified those, then we really spend time in our administrative meetings really talking about, okay, where do we need to work monthly to get where we need to go? And so the plan that I would like to be able to share with our parents and our community at this point is something that really envisions a greater picture and really helps paint a clear perspective on where we're going, why we're going that direction, and how we're going to get there. And I want our families to understand that this direction is directly connected to our strategic plan and really speaks to our mission and our vision. I just want us to collectively have a conversation just to kind of review our message, our priorities around kind of 3 main things: strategic plan, master schedule, and the building redesign. So we're focused on really what we do here every day, what drives what we do, which is centered around our strategic plan.
It's really about what do the students want? What are the strengths of our staff? For me, my number 1 is that I want all of our kids to feel seen, valued, and heard. And by creating opportunities and course offerings and electives for them to get to explore those things that make them feel seen, valued, and heard.
We really have spent the last 3 years working with Dr. Michael Reddick, who has written multiple books, who is a national and internationally known scheduler, who has sat with our administrative team and really analyzed our current schedule, as well as the goals of the district and the needs of our students. And so we have spent the last 3 years reading, researching, and really identifying the key elements that our students need in their master schedule. Now, what do I mean by master schedule? I mean, how do we deliver our education to our students within the confinement of a school day? And so we really looked at the start time, the end time. How much time is being spent in language arts, mathematics, social studies, science, time spent with social emotional needs, recess, lunch, our special teachers, like all of that was subject of conversation. And we really started with a blank slate and really collectively built up based on research and collaboration with this expert on what was the best schedule for our students. Here's some things I would want parents to know. Starting next year, our elementary will consist of preschool through 5th grade. That's the first change. Our middle school will be made up of grades 6 through grade 8. And our high school will be grades 9 through 12. One of the main things was, how do we create a unique experience for our elementary, middle school, and high school students that are developmentally appropriate for them, yet still operate within the same building? I wanted to make sure that our students had a very unique experience in elementary and how their day unfolded. And then when they transitioned to middle school, I wanted that to be a very unique schedule meeting the needs of where they are social, emotionally, and developmentally, and then also create another unique experience in grades 9 through 12. What I found through conversation with our superintendent advisory board, which is students in grades 9 through 12, is they don't want the same cookie cutter day from the time that they enter middle school to the time that they finish high school. That was important for me to hear. These are kids that are fed consistently with social media and on the move and thinking quick and moving fast. So sitting for the same schedule every single day from the time they enter middle school and travel up was not something that they were interested in doing. They wanted that variety. So part of our job was listening to the expert. This is what this man did, was build school schedules from schools as small as 30 to schools that serve 50, 60, 70,000 students. How do we build that Danbury personalized schedule for a school district the size of 500?
Yeah, so number one, it should be different. Elementary is different than middle school is different than high school. And one of the things that, as we learned about professional learning communities, it emphasized all that research and time that we've taken to look at the schedule. Collaboration time for our staff is essential for them to grow our kids. They have to have time to look at data, to meet with team partners and a grade level above them and below them to discuss what is working and what is not working. So built in currently in our schedule is RTI reading, and next year we have added RTI math, which that is individual time to work on strengths and areas of weakness for our students. Whether if you are a high performer, somewhere right at grade level, or need that extra support. We have support staff lined up in our schedule to make sure that our reading and math is a priority and emphasis for our kids. Elementary is the building blocks of all learning, and we got to make sure that our kids have the essential skills before we move them on to our middle school. We have aligned intervention specialists, title services, speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, all lined up in a schedule that is cohesive, and again, teachers can meet and discuss what our students' needs are. We've also found a way to integrate the arts and find creative ways in the arts to pull out a little bit more when it comes to reading math. There's always stories that we're reading about where we could expand in a creative sense some arts, something that they could draw, create, build, or sing about. And we're really looking forward to that. And that's going to be a huge undertaking, and that's something that's going to evolve over time, especially as all of our students get exposed to this type of gifted education where they can build and create.
So the kids aren't losing out on electives. They still have the opportunity to take their electives, but the way the schedule is set up, they just take those electives at the end of the day. And like you said, they still see all of their core teachers throughout the day. Just the periods of time they see them vary by which grade level they're in. And so, again, super excited about having extra contact time in the core content areas for them to continue to establish and improve on their basic foundational skills. And then from there to continue to offer acceleration and enrichment opportunities to those who can handle it by matching up that high school schedule and allowing them to take additional high-level classes for those students and their skill. So for our students in grades 6 through 8, we have different days. We have our blue and our white days. So in essence, the students will have the opportunity to have a longer period of language arts and science one day, but then the next day they'll have longer periods of math and social studies. In addition, they'll get to see each and every one of their teachers every day. It's just that their block will be 90 minutes and their core class, where it's a smaller portion, is only 43 minutes. So the high school, grades 9 through 12 schedule runs on a semi-block format. So that means on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, we will have a full complement of 8 periods where they'll get to see each of their teachers throughout the day. But on Wednesdays and Thursdays, those are what we call our block days. Wednesday is an odd block day, so periods 1, 3, 5, and 7 will be double periods, so they have extra time to work in anything that they want with their extended learning for those particular classes. And then the even block days will be on Thursday, and so periods 2, 4, 6, and 8 will have that same opportunity to extend the learning in their classrooms.
Much of what we've been able to do in terms of building the master schedule, implementing a high level of professional development at each of our building levels, has been afforded to us by the federal dollars that came with COVID relief funds. These are known as ESSER dollars. So we've chosen as a district, with those funds that have been afforded to Danbury schools, to really invest those dollars into the education and the professional development of our staff, because we know that when we make our staff better and we work together to become better, the beneficiaries of that are our students. So the professional development, the science of reading, how to teach in a longer block of time, looking at the most highly effective instructional strategies and how do you build that into your classroom and your content, looking at pivoting and taking our specials teachers, our music, art, phys ed, and technology. How do you integrate that into a classroom section while also pulling back and bringing them into their own classroom for instruction? Those ESSER funds really afforded us the opportunity to bring in that high level of professional development.
It was really important to me that we get everybody together in the tech department. It's been something that I've been trying to build for a long time. It's building some cohesion all the way K through 12 from our 4 different people who teach tech courses. And then we took our 2 people who will be teaching at high school, sat them down, really brainstormed about what we need to add, what they were comfortable adding, where they thought they were gaps, what things we had left behind that maybe we needed to resurrect. And so those new classes really came out of this focus time with the 3 of us trying to figure out what we thought would be the best offerings. And yeah, video production in particular was a little bit nerve-wracking for everybody involved because nobody has that in their background. So we did a lot of visits to other schools that had great video productions, learned a lot that way. Some after-school meetings. We traveled all the way over to Avon Lake one time.
And I love the courses that they're going to implement are going to allow our students not only to learn the skill set, but to apply it within our district and be able to do and produce great things for our district from the lens of the student's perspective.
It's been really cool. We have these little pockets where we're growing these communities amongst our students that didn't exist before. And these kids are starting to find their homes, these places they want to gravitate towards. They're finding their groups. And that to me is kind of the most exciting part of this.
As the leader of our district, there are 2 things I'm constantly looking at. I'm looking at our strategic plan, where are we going and how will we get there? And how does that continue to be relevant to the needs of our students in order to support their journey here at Danbury Schools and life beyond. The other aspect of my job is also to look at where are we with our facility design? What is our plan for continuing to renovate and upgrade our school district so that we can continue to be and provide the best experiences for our students? And so together with our treasurer, it's something that we spend a lot of time talking about. And so a couple years ago, we sat with several design firms to interview them. The board selected Fannie and Howie as that firm. Fannie and Howie has sat with us and really began to help us think about where should our buildings be in the next 10 to 15 years and what should they look like? And so the board has identified that they would like to undergo 3 phases of renovation over the next 5 to 8 years, in which we look at specific areas of our district and looking at ways in which we can renovate or upgrade them. And as we continue to work with our design firm and work with our Board of Education and our staff on really fine-tuning those plans, we're excited to be able to share those with you as it unfolds.
Part of the master schedule realignment also gives us the opportunity that we are able to operate as 3 separate buildings within one building, give our students those unique elementary, middle school, and high school experiences. But physically, we did have some difficulty before with some of our grade bands not being close in proximity to communicate. So we're going to have some movement over the summer, which allows our pre-K through 5th grade to operate in close capacity in one wing of the building. We now have our 6th through 8th grade who's all going to be together in one area where they can just talk across the hall, talk across the rooms, communicate, and then we have our high school together too. So the students will be able to physically move in 3 places for those 3 different times throughout their life, and then we'll have all of our specials teachers down in one wing, and what we dub the corridor of the arts, so that there's going to be a lot of collaboration between the tech teachers, the art teachers, the music department. And again, that goes back to the beauty of that arts integration. One of the things that Brandy Goodwin from North Point said that was so profound is that our arts courses is one of the very few places where you have 100% success with your students. every student that enters into that class is able to produce a product. I cannot wait to take the power and the magic and leverage the expertise of our arts teachers and lend it into some areas where students might typically struggle in math and English. Could you imagine the success that students can finally have to access those content areas? So that's what some of the realignment gets to provide for our students.
We've begun to bring our staff into this idea of what does it mean to be a district that's grounded within a professional learning community? It's not a program. It's not something that you eventually graduate out of. Professional learning community is a philosophy. It's how we do the business of education. Professional learning community has basically three main components: a focus on learning, a collaborative culture, and becoming results driven. And there's some things that are really non-negotiables about that professional learning community. There's things that we always start with. Do we believe every child can learn? How do we know that they're learning? What do we do when they're not able to grasp a concept? And on the opposite side of that, what are we doing with the student who already has accomplished that content standard? How do we accelerate or advance things? And so everything kind of starts there. And then everything that we implement and build upon really connects back to that philosophy. It's very much getting our district in the same boat, rowing in the same direction, with the same set of oars, where we're all making decisions and driving towards a focus on learning within a collaborative culture that's results driven.
Our students having strong abilities in math and in English language arts means that when they leave the doors of our schools, they have limitless opportunities. They have the skill set and the aptitude to pursue whatever path that they want. And that's what's important to us here. It's not just the data for data's sakes. It's that the data informs us if our students are learning. And if they learn, they have opportunities to be successful when they leave here, to live a life that is filled with their choices.
We want to be a school of excellence. I think that starts with how we serve our students. And again, I go back to where we're going should always be better than where we've been. And in order to get to that point, it takes a ton of collaboration and time and stress and hard work and effort. But at the end of the day, each and every one of our students is worth that.
One street doesn't end when you get to another one, so we have to find ways to make it go from the classroom into whatever you're doing after school. And that might be a student who participates in basketball, but that student might also be in the band. So like, how can you be a better leader in that department as well? There's Rocks, there's Captain's Club, there's the SALT group, and then there's also the Superintendent Leadership Advisory Board, where you've got 4 different groups of not only students, but also adults who are helping you along that path.
This journey internally has been challenging for our staff. I wish our community could see the amount of time and work and effort above and beyond their daily classroom challenges. And I think that we're just gonna need some patience and grace as we work through maybe some of the unforeseen challenges of next year, because I'm sure there's going to be those. And I would reinforce that importance of communication and collaboration together, that we really want to continue to partner with our families as we deliver this educational experience for our students.
And I think the more that we have the parents involved and on the same page, and the more we're working on the same end goal of meeting the needs of their individual students, that's when we see the growth. That's when the gap closing occurs, and we're actually seeing gap closing happen this year.
Our staff's heart always starts with our kids. That's not something you can train. That's something that's innately there. That's where our staff's heart is, first and foremost, for our kids, loving our kids, educating our kids. You're not gonna find that in every district, but here, that is the greatest gift this community has, is the love, passion, and work ethic that our teachers have for the job in which they treasure and have the honor of doing every single day.
you.